So I've just found out about Butch Sorrentino's passing, and I had a funny story that I wanted to share to try and lighten the mood. Now, Butch and I were not close friends. We were basically just acquaintances, but we knew a lot of the same people. We ran in a lot of the same circles. And, we always had a good time and had a nice conversation whenever we'd run into each other. So he was a really good guy. Now, the reason Butch is so well known is because he was basically a legend in my hometown of Biloxi, Mississippi. He was covered head to toe in tattoos and had piercings and wore a lot of heavy metal t-shirts. And the thing is, he was doing all these things like long before anybody else was. And he was doing them when they were actually still rebellious and taboo. So, he was very, very hard to miss and very, very recognizable. And one of the things that always really stood out to me was Butch's voice. His voice was similar to someone like Dennis Rodman's. I don't know if you ever heard Dennis Rodman talk, but he's got this really kind of gravelly, hey, here's Mr. Like it's that kind of voice, right? And so that always stood out to me. Now, you have to remember that for what I'm about to tell you, because one winter I got hired on as a mall Santa Claus. Okay, so this is when I was in high school, and most of the time I'd work on the weekends, but sometimes they'd have me work weeknights. And as you can imagine, there's not a lot of people who bring their kids to see Santa Claus during the week. So a lot of the time, I was just sitting there with nothing to do. One weeknight I'm sitting there, I'm dressed up as Santa Claus, and I look over and here comes Butch walking down the mall. And, there's nobody around. I'm not with any kids, so I call out to him. I said, "Oh, ho, 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 ho. Merry Christmas, Butch. How are you doing?" And so Butch, of course, sees me and he hears me and he, like, waves at me and he's like, "Yeah, how's it going, Santa? How you doing, man?" Yeah. And, and so I said, "Oh, Butch, have you been a good boy this year?" "Yeah, Santa, I've been good, man." "Yeah, bring me something, Santa. All right." And then he just kept going. Yeah, he just kept walking straight down the mall. And that just blew my fucking mind because I was sitting there thinking, most people, if Santa Claus knew your name, you'd go over and you'd try to figure out which one of your friends was playing Santa Claus. How the hell does Santa Claus know my name? But Butch didn't seem to find anything unusual in this. Like, he thought it was the most normal, most perfectly natural thing in the world that Santa would know his name and would believe him that he'd been a good boy all year. So that was more than 20 years ago, but it's stuck with me. I've told that story hundreds of times, and I'm glad that I'll always have that memory of him. So he was a good guy, and I know a lot of people are going to miss him. So, my condolences to all of Butch's closest friends and family. I hope everything is okay with all of you, and, please let me know if y'all need anything.